Hi, my name is Dana and welcome to another video. I am super hyped about this reading vlog. So this reading vlog is dedicated to just one book, although it's 5 stories, I think, math. So I had talked about this book in my 5-star reading predictions, and I was like, oh my god, I realized that I took the Friday off. The week this book comes out, I will have like a whole dedicated reading vlog to it. And then because of co-hosting Summer of Sarah MacLean, Sarah MacLean's lovely publicist sent me and Kelly, who co-hosted, an advance copy of this book, and that is Naughty Brits by Sarah MacLean. Clearly I'm just excited for this to be Sarah MacLean writing contemporary. So it's an anthology featuring Sarah MacLean, Sophie Jordan, Tessa Gratton, Louisa Edwards, and Sarah Simone, all set in Great Britain. And I am high-key obsessed. I like know other people who've already started reading the ARC and are like very into it, and I'm just like crawling out of my skin excited. So I've already like read the first 2 pages and I was like, oh my god, I need to film this intro before I've like read too much, and then future Dana and past Dana will have like different knowledges of things. I'm just hyped. So let's discuss, let me read the synopsis of Sarah MacLean's story in this. I'm just so excited that this is her first contemporary, and who knows how great it's gonna be. It's gonna be amazing, but we must read it first. So the tagline for the anthology is "Everything is hotter with a British accent." Yes. So Sarah MacLean's story is a Duke worth falling for. So let's have a dramatic reading. Her career in tatters, celebrity photographer Lila Rose retreats to the British countryside, complete with fluffy sheep, rolling hills, and Max, the stern, sexy farmer who tends to them. But their lazy days and lush nights aren't as far from the spotlight as Lila thinks. And Max will have to reveal the truth if he's going to convince Lila that some dukes are worth the risk. Oh, secret duke. I'm just so excited to dive further into this story. I literally, before work, just got to the point where they're about to meet. She's in the hills photographing sheep, and a sheep is about to like run at her, and she's like trying to get the perfect shot, and she's like talking to the sheep, and a guy walks up behind her like talking to her about talking to the sheep. So I'm very excited. It's releasing today. I'm uploading this video on the day that it releases, so you can go buy it now. Link is in the description. Clearly I'm a mess with just excitement, so without further ado, we'll get some reaction footage in the next shot. Okay, see you soon. So this is future Dana from a few days since I've started this reading vlog, cutting in before the next few clips where I talk about the book to say this is spoiler aplenty. So if you haven't read Naughty Brits yet, I know I'm posting this on release day, so you probably haven't yet. But if you are planning to, I would like wait until you've read it, because I'm going to spoiler the heck out of all of these stories because I'm sharing every aspect that I like about them. So be warned. Yeah, we'll see you in a bit. So it's the next day. I started Naughty Brits last night. I didn't get that far, but I have read through the first section of Sarah MacLean's anthology contribution, which was titled The Duke Worth Falling For, and I have a lot of thoughts. I took some notes because I just like need to remember everything of this. The story setup is super fun. So it follows Lila Rose, who's a photographer who's kind of been blacklisted from her industry, and she's kind of taking a break, and she's staying at this cottage in like the countryside of England, and she's photographing some sheep, and this man appears. He's a farmer, or so she believes, and he's a secret duke. His name is Max, so we get his point of view too. We know that Max has a horrible ex-wife, so I don't know if we'll see her at any point, but I'm interested to know more about their relationship. He's been burned from that relationship, and he is keeping up the ruse of the fact that he's a farmer, even though he's not, because he wants to be with someone who wants to be with him for him and not the title and not his wealth. So poor baby Duke. There is a bar scene where Lila is just like the best at darts and kicks his butt, and there's just all these old men who clearly ship the two of them together and continue the ruse for him. Just like the atmosphere of him watching her was really like super hot. I love just like the obsession there. We also learn more about his sister. We hear from her while they're on a phone call, and his sister Lottie is hysterical and just like wild, and I would love for Sarah to write her story of like the taming the wild party girl. I'm very excited. We also get like tidbits of a kind of past story of a historical set in 1820 about a highwayman who steals a duchess, and the duchess becomes a highwaywoman with him. And like, Sarah, why haven't you written this book? Is this something that like you pitched and it like never happened? Because like I want it like now. So there's a lot of then discussion of like marauders, which I love because it kind of gives her historical romance readers like a bit of that vibe, even though this is not historical. Again, just like I love Sarah MacLean's growly, big, grunty heroes. It's everything. And he just is growly and grunty through the whole sex scene, and beautiful. Also, another trope that like I just love is like the hero and the heroine being like, it's only gonna be one night, and it's like the narrator, it was not just one night. And the hero like knows he's gonna want her more, but that is what I'll be dealing with in chapter 6. Sarah just like giving us pleasure at all times. Him going down on her was great. Then we also have equal like mutual pleasure going on. She gives him a blowjob. Like, Sarah, you're a queen, thank you. Also, we get a really fun throwback to Sarah MacLean's historicals where when she opens his pants and she's like, wow, your name's Max and your dick is like the Max Big. And then we get the line from Sarah MacLean that is, name is Destiny. Which, like, she relies on that a lot in her historicals, but like twisted here is so funny. So that happened. We also got like a good condom scene, like that happened, thank you. And then there was this beautiful moment where he slid his dick into her and said it was easy, like going home. And I was like, wow, that was gorgeous. Like, thank you, Sarah. I'm so happy for that line. It was gorgeous. I really need to finish now because that was a lot of thoughts for like 20 pages of a short story. This is gonna be a long video. I see this now. Oh my god. Okay, bye. I have to go read. I'm putting on lip gloss so that I feel human. Like, that's how this day is, but it's not been that bad. I'm just dramatic. Happy Friday. I'm so glad it's Friday. You don't understand. I like so ready to just like sleep and take my weekly bath time that you've probably seen in my last vlog. But I have a lot of updates to share on Naughty Brits. I'm sitting on my pink couch. We will be chatting. Okay, I have plenty of notes. And oh my god, I need to share this. Okay, so if you like follow me on Instagram, you know my obsession with Fugly Barbie. I have the mug with the same design. It's so cute. Like, I love it. I also have a few of their t-shirts now, and then I like couldn't resist having this art on my laptop, but also look at the Golden Girls. Like, that just means so much to me. Okay, so Naughty Brits. I am like distraction central here. So I finished Sarah's story and I have like a lot of feelings. I loved it. Did we expect anything less from Sarah, or that I wouldn't like it? She's great. I want more contemporary from Sarah, or contemporary at least set in England that's just like this. Okay, so where was I at when we last spoke? Trying to find it. Okay, yes, I spoke about his dick feeling like home inside of her. Okay, we did do that. Okay, so after they had sex, he stayed, and then they had more sex. Great. And then he came back after like feeding his sheep, and he made her breakfast, and it was just like the sweetest moment. There were so many just really like adorable moments from him that I like fell in love so much with Max. There was also like a lot of really great tidbits that felt like Sarah calling back to her historicals. There was a line about like, there's nothing hotter than a man holding a piglet. And I was like, okay, that is a sign. She's talking about Temple and No Duke Goes Unpunished, and that scene where he holds the heroine's piglet. And I was like, Sarah, don't do this to me. I love the sex bargain that happens of like, there's 9 days left of her stay there, and he wants her for all of 9 days, not just the one night. And he asks for like as many nights as she could give him. He wants them all, and they just spend 2 days just having sex. And I'm like, thank you. Like, I know we like skipped some time here. If we were in a full-length novel, you would have given us all of that. Thank you, Sarah. But it was a great way to flesh out this very short book, short story, I mean. Also, I think it's funny when I've been told that like Sarah forgets like some of the past stories and past names that she's used, because we have like, he's the Duke of Weston, which she has like characters that are named West in her historicals, and Max's ex is Georgiana, which is like a very big character in her historicals, so funny there. But also Georgiana, who's his ex, we find out later on that she's Black, and she's like the head of the British Museum, and she's not just like villainized as like a terrible ex-wife. She's like a genuine human with like a life and feelings, and you know, throughout this is like, you know, they wanted different things, but she also like is like, when we do like see him talk to her, she's like, yeah, we wanted different things, but we were also like 23 and stupid and not mature enough to be married and know what we wanted for the rest of our lives. And like, true that, girl, true that. I just really felt bad for Max because of his perception of his relationship with Georgiana. He really didn't want her to regret him and regret settling to be with him when she could have a life that is full of adventure and travel, and that's not who he is and what he wants in life. And I was just like, I love that Sarah is giving us a hero who really cares about the heroine and what her true desires are for her life. And he definitely considers that, while at the same time not communicating with her what she actually wants. So, two sides of the same coin there. I felt like a lot of just really great sex scenes here. There is one moment where she's blowing him while fingering herself, and I was like, it's beautiful. So the book is all kind of, the story is all leading up to a gala where Lila is showcasing her work for the first time in 2 years. And Lila invites him to go with her to London to the gala where her work is going to be displayed. And she asks him to go to London, and he says no, because he doesn't want to be in the spotlight. And the next morning, she's gone. She leaves. And Max is a sad boy, but also just very proud of Lila for saying like, this is what I'm excited about, and if you don't want to do it with me, then I don't want to be with you right now. And happy for her. Was worried that she was not gonna like Max because he's a billionaire, and that was a contention of what put her where she was, of like a billionaire asshole being terrible to her and then trying to like ruin her. And like that, like the fact that he has all this money is never something that she like cares about, and I really liked that. And I kind of expected she was going to be squirmish about that, but you know, she's lived in this celebrity lifestyle. She knows she doesn't really care about people having money, and I really enjoyed that. And I also think it was like interesting that we have Sarah like has another like ruined woman plot line that is, you know, so prominent in so many historicals, but it's done so well here in a modern setting. And in a lot of ways, I think this book could have been a historical novel, but the way she writes contemporary, you know, it feels like it could be either, but it works so well as contemporary, but could work so well as historical. And really kind of giving her historical readers what they love, but, you know, welcoming new readers. And clearly this is her home base is historical. That's where she feels comfortable. So I just loved it so much. You know, we have the big climactic scene at the gala. Lila wears pants. If you followed Summer of Sarah MacLean, you know that's the Sarah-ism that I care the most about. I love a woman in pants in historical, and she wears a tux. She wears breeches, people. I loved it so much. I think it's really nice too that both the hero and the heroine, Max and Lila, recognize the fact that they're like insta-love because they literally spent like 4 to 5 days together. But those 4 or 5 days they like didn't leave each other's sides and just fell like so madly in love with each other. And like it feels like a whirlwind to them and to the reader that like I don't care about the insta-love, like the feelings were there, and that's all that really matters. I also loved, there's a lot of symbolism about like going to war, to battle as like the Duke. Like a Duke would be leading, you know, his people to battle, and she says, well, I would go to battle in your place. And I would be, she's, you know, she's equally as interested in going to war. And there's like this line that we go to war together. And that just was like so beautiful. I think it's something Sarah really strives to do with each book, is make her hero and her heroine equals in every way. And they want to do everything together. And it's really beautiful. And like, I love when Lila does confront him about the secret Duke aspect. She goes off on him and she tells him just how terrible it was to lie to her about all this, especially when she laid out her truth to him and he, you know, danced around his own truth. And I just love that. And I think Sarah does that quite often with her historicals. I feel like Felicity and Hattie both do that in the Bare Knuckle Bastards books. Just go off, girl. Yeah, and we get that like truly devastating moment that you know that reveal is coming and it's there and it hurts. This is probably like the bonkers. I'm just giving you every single thing I thought about this while I was reading it. I love too that her heroes always have some kind of trauma. Well, that's probably, yes, I like broken men, no, but there is a part of Max that never felt like he was enough for anyone in any capacity, and he feels like he's enough with Lila, and it's so beautiful. Yeah, and so the ending, the epilogue is so great. It's so sweet. I love it so much, and I've just rambled on about this short story for 10 minutes. This is gonna be a long reading vlog. Okay, so the next story in the anthology is from Sophie Jordan, and it's called Better With You, and it's a bodyguard trope. So let's read the official description, and then I will talk to you about like my first initial thoughts. Okay, so Better With You. When the author of a controversial self-help book starts receiving threats, she has no choice but to accept a bodyguard on her UK book tour. V. Mathers is famous for asserting that women don't need men, especially for sex. But at security specialist Luca Moretti's first burning touch, she starts the things she might need to revise her theory. Okay, so I feel like after finishing this short story, I'm going to really want to watch The Bodyguard on Netflix, which I haven't watched yet. So my first note here after I started reading was bodyguard romance. My body is ready. So she's an author, and we actually heard about her in the first novella. So I'm hopefully these are all connected, which would be really fun. So we kind of know that at the end of her story, she's supposed to be at the gala. So that's really fun. So her book, Self-Love, is all about female empowerment, not needing a man. And, having that contrasted with the fact that she is under threat from men who don't like that idea, and her publisher hires a bodyguard for her, definitely puts a lot of her own beliefs in question. And she's just highly attracted to this man. He's described as Henry Cavill-esque, and what more do you want? We also know that she's divorced, V, and then it's later on mentioned that she has ex-husbands with an S, so plural, which is interesting. We also know that none of them really did it for her, so obviously Moretti is going to. She set up with the bodyguard at her publishing house in London by her UK publisher, and then she leaves to go get dinner. She's basically not into him following her. She goes to this place, and he sits down at a different table than she does, and she then starts kind of getting a drink, food, and a guy comes up to her to flirt, and then she turns him down, and he's like, "Oh, I recognize you, you're this author." And Moretti comes up and's like, "Go away." And Moretti sits down, and she tells him to go get a drink, and he says no. And she asks him if it's because he's on duty and he's working, and he kind of brushes it off. So I wonder if there is some kind of backstory for Moretti and an issue with alcohol. So that is something I will be looking forward to finding out in the story. And then I love, she's very cheeky, V. She tells him to don't fall in love with her because she's seen the movies, and the bodyguard always falls in love with his person that he's bodyguarding. He actually says what the terms are for that relationship, but I forgot them. It wasn't important in my head. But that's it. They just got to her hotel room, and he's inspecting it, so I'm ready to go read. Bye. So it is Saturday afternoon. I finished Better With You, which was Sophie Jordan's story, last night. I really enjoyed it. It was super hot, super funny. So further thoughts, I really liked the hero. He was really big on consent, which was fantastic. And then we kind of got further into his backstory. We met his family later on in the story. We learned why he's so protective and why he became bodyguard. He witnessed his little brother drowning, and that kind of made him who he was, and why he was so protective of people he loved, specifically the heroine, V. And there are a lot of really fun tropes that happen. So when they get to the hotel room, they have an adjoining room, and she doesn't want him to leave the door open. So when she does, she closes the door. He gets mad, but whatever. So she orders everything off the room service menu for him and gets sent to his room to piss him off. It was fun. She does a lot of little things to piss him off. And then they end up on a long car ride together, and it's very there's a lot of tension. And then when they get to the place they're staying in Edinburgh, I'm terrible at saying that. He and her have the only one bed trope happening to them, and it's great. The sex scene that happens in the hotel room, so good. So obviously her book was all about self-love, and she's like, I don't need a man because a man has never given her pleasure. And he is like, that sucks that like a guy has never gotten you off. So he's like, let me. And he doesn't take any pleasure for himself. And it's just like this really hot consensual moment, and it's great. Then we have like really cute moments later on where they go like sightseeing. Oh my god, I feel like I have hair. Like my hair is like all over my face. Yeah, that was dog hair. And then there are some really cute moments later on in the story. So they go sightseeing, and she is a huge fan of Sherlock Holmes. So they go to, what is it? Something Baker Street. I forgot. And so they go there, and he's taking a picture of her, and like a passerby is like, oh, do you want a picture together? And she's like, and Luca is like, sure. And it's so cute. And then he takes her to his family's restaurant, Italian restaurant, and she meets his family, and his sister's like, he doesn't take his like clients here, like only serious girlfriends, and that hasn't been one for 2 years. And that's where V finds out about his brother. They're so cute. And then the story kind of wraps up from there really quickly of her going to the gala. We get kind of a passing by of Lila from the previous story. And because I've already started the next one, we do see the hero of the next story just slightly. And I really love now that that's like what's connecting these stories together is the gala. We get a hot steamy moment where after she's kind of she's threatened by someone while she's walking the red carpet. He like freaks out, and they have like a steamy hot sex moment in a closet. It was great. And then they like have sex in her hotel room. She runs away, which is like a great moment. Sad. And she goes to the airport, and he just shows up and takes a seat next to her, and he's like, well, we're gonna go to Paris together. And he chose her, and she chose him. It was so great. So I really like that one. And now we are moving on to Louisa Edwards' story, which I've started, and I will, in the next clip tomorrow after I finished it, I will share the description with you and we'll read that. It's really cute so far. I don't think I'm loving it. The writing took me like a little bit to get into. It's like a little awkward. At least the characters are awkward, and just all of these scenarios are probably far-fetched. Like that's the point. These are like dramatic, like fun encounters, but this one seems like a little like bizarre because it's a celebrity actor romance and a like research writer, and they meet in a dog park. But like it's super cute. But I will update you once I finished that one, and we will discuss it. Update time on Naughty Brits. So I just finished Louisa Edwards' story, which is called Not a Bad Boy. So I didn't love this one, but let me read you the description of it first, because I realize I haven't done that in any other clip. So, writer Mallory Pritchard moved to London for research and to get over a bad breakup when she literally runs into Hollywood's hottest action hero, Ian Hale, at a dog park. She realizes her heart isn't as broken as she thought. Ian is even more devastatingly sexy in person, which makes Mallory wonder, is there room for a regular girl in his glamorous movie star world? So this to me was really, it was quite difficult to get into. I didn't love the writing. I'm also noticing that this is the second story in a row where it's just from the heroine's perspective. And while I really liked Sophie Jordan's, I don't think it worked as well for this one. The hero has kind of a sad backstory. He kind of came from nothing and worked his way up, and I think that, you know, attributes to his fear of being seen by paparazzi and the paparazzi culture of the UK and tabloids. And while I thought that some parts of it were really cute, I just didn't think I cared as much about the characters. I liked the inclusion of Georgiana, who we've seen in the first story. She was, oh my god, Max's ex-wife, and she plays a little role in this one. I liked the aspect of dogs and how their relationship started. I didn't love the sex scenes in this one as much. I don't know, it just didn't work for me at all. I'm about to start the next one, which is by Tessa Gratton, and take a bath. We're gonna see how well I can read this ebook via my phone and my iPad in the bath. It's a nerve-wracking thing to try and do, but I live for adventure and danger. But I have a regular print book just in case, 'cause, you know, whatever, I damage a like $8 book, not my $100 something phone. Okay, so the next story rather, is by Tessa Gratton. It's called Songbird. So I don't think Tessa Gratton has ever written romance that I know of, outside of, say, like a fantasy genre. So this one is Songbird. So former American soldier Daniel Kelly's mission is simple: close the deal to buy a Welsh pub on behalf of his family's corporation. Survive another anniversary of the worst day of his service. Too bad for him. Too bad that from the moment he sees the pub's owner, Elspeth Gwenlyn, is the only thing Daniel wants to conquer, even if it means lying to her about his agenda. So I think I read the first page of this, and it reads a little different because it kind of reads like someone who's like used to writing fantasy, like the words like invaded and conquered. So that's kind of interesting, and it seems like he's on like a mission and there's maps, and it definitely reads like fantasy slightly, which I think, you know, is fun if that's the angle she's going for. Like with Sarah MacLean, you know, you still see those historical writing leanings. This is set in Wales so far, so I don't know. I hope that it has some kind of connection at the end, at least, to the gala. We've seen all of the 3 past stories like end up at the gala. So I really love interconnecting anthology stories together. Also, like, this is my preferred type of anthology where there's 4 or 5 authors and they actually have a quite long-ish novella. I really hate the anthologies that we see for like YA novels where it's like 10 to 12 authors and their short story is like 25 pages. Like, that to me is not enough, and they're so contrasting to each other that there's never like a true thread that ties them together or characters or anything. But I've loved seeing other characters pop up, like seeing the name Lila Rose and seeing Georgiana that weaves through from Sarah MacLean, who started. So I hope that the Wales aspect gets brought to England at some point so that the other stories feel tied to it. But we shall see. And then what I'm really excited to get to last is Sierra Simone. So I feel like I didn't have too much to say about Louisa Edwards' story. It was a quick read, but nothing really memorable about it for me. Show you my bath product because that's what happens in these vlogs. And yeah, let's have a bath time reading. And I will let you know how I did trying to read an ebook in the bath. Hopefully I do well. Update. I finished reading the Tessa Gratton story, and I really liked that one. I don't think I liked it as much as I liked Sarah MacLean's and Sophie Jordan's, and I think that too because I'm very familiar with their writing. So I really enjoyed the Wales setting. It felt really quaint, and I kind of realized when I finished reading that that was the first story where we didn't get a lot of celebrity tropes of fame and not wanting people to see you and know you. So that was really, it made it more of a quieter story. And there was really a lot of sexy times and I was very happy for it. And there was a lot of hiking and I wasn't too into that. But I really liked the quaint setting. I feel like there was something missing with the plot, or I wanted a little bit more to it. Obviously they're novellas, and this is her first romance. So, it was really good overall. I think as we move forward, I'm reading these more quickly and not dissecting it to the point that I did Sarah MacLean and even Sophie Jordan's. So the middle for me is not as great, but I am so excited to be starting Sierra Simone's story. I think I've read maybe 3 books by Sierra Simone. Sierra Simone brings the dirty sexy times, and always here for those things. I think to me sometimes her stories lack the greatest character development and plot. That I want it to be equal, but what can you get? I don't know. But I started it. I read the first chapter and it's gonna be one of those things, those stories that keeps me up at night. And I'm just so excited. I can't even words. So I am so excited to get into it. So the trope here is left at the altar, second chance romance. Okay, let's read the description and then I will share my thoughts on the first chapter that I read. So her story is Supplicant, and obviously it's the last story in the anthology. So, after being left at the altar by her cold and brilliant professor, Church Casson, Charlotte Tenpenny had to leave school to take care of her younger brother. But a fateful night brings Church and his delicious, drugging kisses back into Charlotte's life, and it stirs up a reckoning years in the making. So, the first chapter is set 4 years before the rest of the novella, and it's the church scene. So none of his family shows up, and she doesn't really know one. She has her little brother who's 12, and her mom has passed away, and her dad is a deadbeat, and she just has a few acquaintances there. And so obviously he doesn't show up, but he has his driver arrive, and she does not go because that's terrible, that he gets to save her but leaves her. So she goes and takes the tube home, and her and her brother arrive at their apartment to find that their father has left and stolen all of her money, all of her cash savings, and has cleared out their joint bank account. So her only choice now is to leave, university and have to figure out a way to survive and take care of her brother and, be his guardian. And we get our first connection to the other stories, which they're all tied to the British Museum. That's where she was kind of apprenticing or interning, and she realizes that that is a dream that someone who has no money can't achieve. So excited for that. Also, I feel like I didn't mention when I gave my wrap-up thoughts for the Tessa Gratton story, it did end up connecting to the British Museum. His company that was out to buy the main character's pub is all about green technology, and they were wanting to buy the pub for a new model of farm to table. And he gives a speech at the gala that everyone has been at, and they have sex at the gala like almost everyone else does. And we know that he was introduced by a dark, handsome archaeologist who we know is Church Casson, is an archaeologist. And it was her professor, and she's already talked about how he has sexed her up and they've had sex everywhere. And in dark, inappropriate, and appropriate places. So I think Sierra Simone is gonna fuck me up and I'm gonna love it. So I will probably be back tomorrow once I finish reading it because I know I'm not gonna be able to stop, so see you soon. So I finished Sierra Simone's story and I absolutely loved it so much. It, in some ways, rivals my love for Sarah MacLean story, and okay, so it's Second Chance, and they're just so broken, and she ends up in a really bad place. Has 2 jobs. She works a night job at a catering company, so she's actually like, what is it, waitressing, serving at the British Museum gala, and we know he's there from the previous story, and she sees him and hears him, and then we finally get he sees her and he like beelines Alpha walks to her and then follows her as she runs away from him. And he is like, I didn't know where you were. And we learn that she told him she was going back to America, and he has basically been a mess this entire time, and so has she. And there's just so much yearning and loss between them, and they're just so sad. But like every moment between them is filled with so much tension and desire. And I love the chemistry they have, and their romance, you know, has a lot of kink to it. They were like sexy times all the time, and their romance is like super dark and sexy and kinky. He was her professor, and problematically for that, but he first meets her as she's giving a tour in the British Museum, and he kind of harasses her by asking her questions, and she'd never given this tour. She doesn't know much about it. She's a second-year university student. She doesn't know what she's talking about, but she's like such a great bullshitter, and he is like enraptured by her, and that's what starts their original fling. And then they kind of spend like a year like obsessed with each other. She ends up in his class, and he like never grades her for like extra. Like he kind of loved her brilliant mind, and he was obsessed with her, and that's why he calls her his little supplicant, and he basically worships her. And I think a lot of dark romances for me always kind of feel like there's a lot of obsession and the chase and the kink part, but you never really realize like there's never that deep rooted emotion and love. It just kind of feels so like superficial in that like obsession and infatuation, but like it's so here, and I loved it so much. And I love that we got his point of view, because I think this would have been much less of an impactful story, and because he leaves her at the altar because he was forced to. He was told by his boss that like because she was his student, you know, no one's ever going to take him seriously or her, and he loved his career so much. It was his pursuit of finding God as an archaeologist, and it's selfish for him to do that, but in the back of his head he justified it by like knowing that like she could go out and find her career, but because she never does, it really like affects him. And he decides to like give it all up, and it's like so powerful. This whole book, this story, every page like destroyed me and then brought me back to life. Like it was next level. I think this is probably the best thing I've ever read from Sierra Simone, and I'm so excited to read more from her now because this writing was incredible. And what I love the most is that this felt like a grovel story, a la Sarah MacLean, and I love that she doesn't just forgive him right away. She pushes back and she pushes back, and he accepts that. Like, he knows he fucked up, and that's so great. And I love the way the story wrapped up with her finally like even like them being together for a while in the epilogue, she still doesn't like fully forgive him until like the very end when she's like, I trusted you. So I trust you now, rather. I loved this story so much. I think the Sierra Simone and the Sarah MacLean stories are tied for me with my favorite, and then Sophie Jordan, and then Tessa Granton, and then Louisa Edwards. I decided to give this 4 stars because of my true like devotion to those 2 stories. And then I really enjoyed the Sophie Jordan one. It probably doesn't round out to be like the average of what my ratings would be, but like devotion. So it's not a 5-star for me, but those 2 stories, I think what I really wanted to read this was for Sarah MacLean, and Sarah MacLean's was a 5-star for me. So that aspect of the 5-star prediction works out. This is now out today. You can buy a copy and read it. Hopefully you read it before you came back to this, because I spoiled everything for you. I'm sorry. But this was so fun to film an entire just reaction video to one book, but I loved it so much. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.